I was born in Kenya in the tail end of the 80s. This is about me. Well, me and Bongo Flava.
It's a music phenomenon known as Bongo Flava, a mix of rap, hip-hop and rhythm and blues. The music often has a political and social message and is the best-selling pop music in East Africa today.
A new sound coming from the shores of the Indian Ocean is making waves throughout the region. Here in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania's biggest city, Bongo Flava is the beat from the street and the rhythm of the times.
Bongo is the nickname for Tanzania. So when you say Bongo Flava, that means that something came from Tanzania. The heavyweight. So whether it's R&B, whether it's hip-hop, whether it's reggae, as far as it is in Swahili, that we call it Bongo Flava.
2008, that's when it all began. Barack Obama was running for president. I was a second-year IT student, and I was a huge fan of Bongo Flava. My favorites in those days were Bagala by Diamond Platnumz.
Jinsi gani
Zeze by TID. And Kizuri by and I was obsessed, utterly obsessed with Nyotako by TID.
Hebu tathmini kisha nipe jibu. Hivi kwa nini hutaki kunijibu? Mitihani yote nimeshinda. Nadhani wakati.
I was dating one of my classmates then. Now, I don't remember a lot about those days, but I remember this one time. We were standing outside the JCOT main campus cafeteria, and we were squabbling about one thing or the other. So I was ignoring him, my earphones jumped tightly into my ears, just like, bobbing to the music. And this guy taps me and is like, you're singing beautifully. And I'm like, yeah. Although admittedly that part may have gotten added over time. But what I remember was he said he also liked the song, and so we kofifed about Nyotako by TID. And I'm having the time of my life. I'm talking to a random hot guy, sticking it to my boyfriend who's getting the silent treatment. It's like, win-win. The folly of youth. Well, let's just say Bongo Flava and I have come a long way. We're both slightly older. We both shoot our films in South Africa with the cool kids. And we both have a lot to say about what the good life looks like. About what people should work towards, about what's important. Which is exactly why we're not nearly as close as we used to be. According to Bongo Flava, life is about acquiring and accumulating big shiny shit. And then showing that off. How could I forget the women? You've got to collect that too. According to Bongo Flava, that's what your life should be about. The gospel, according to me, is success is about people. It's about playing your part in this messed up world to make it just a little less messy, just a little more just. To make it the kind of place that doesn't make you want to blow out your brains every time you watch the news. And not just for you, but for other people too. Okay, so now you see what the problem. You see what the problem is. We got us some bad blood. We got us some. Everybody, just calm the fuck down. Okay. So I clearly have some unresolved feeling, and that's what this is about. Bongo Flava and I have had this beef back and forth, and this is about resolving that once and for all. And just to tell me that I'm not crazy for feeling this way. Yeah, I'm not crazy, right? But people are out here asking me why I'm asking Bongo to be something Bongo isn't. Well, when we started out, Bongo's about women. It was about loving them, wanting them, needing them. Bongo be talking about politics and how fucked up society was and how we could do better. And I'd be like, yo, that's what I'm about. Like, I'm feeling that. And now Bongo's out here flashing cash all over the place. Now, Bongo doesn't say nothing about social issues. Bongo's out here making women do crazy things like this. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for this shit. But I still like Bongo, which is, messed up. So I spoke to a couple of my friends about it because can nobody afford no shrink on a student budget? You know, you gotta use what you have. And they better bitch about Bongo Flava or I'm gonna need me some new friends. Sign-up sheets will be circulated. Do the right thing.
I think they're good. Very superficial, but I love them.
The Bongo Flava music, I like it because it's in our local languages. We like pleasure. We like singing and dancing. We like feeling happy. So music video has that element.
Swahili is beautiful. It's sexy. But that cannot be enough justification for these derivative stories.
Hip-hop is, the state of hip-hop is how people are feeling at that present point in time. Majority of people like that sort of music, aspire to do sort of writing. And that's why the musicians do that, so that they appeal to the mass.
I think that music videos now are more important than they've ever been. And I've always been close to music videos. In other words, my favorite directors are music videos directors. Someone like Michel Gondry is the greatest music video director ever. And what I've always liked about music videos is that if you're doing commercial work, it's a great place to find inspiration, because with music videos, it's art. In other words, when you do a branded video, you can't touch social issues, politics, anything. But when you do a music video, you can. You can do anything. It's a free license of expression. So I have a pet hate for music videos that are just guys performing in a room or BMWs and bling. Because I think the music video space it's one of the, if you're doing a music video, you have a huge opportunity to be an artist, to express yourself hardcore, real, like up close and personal. And if you're not using that opportunity, you're not doing your job, I think. So I think most music videos suck for that reason.
I'm gonna have to think about that. I think about a lot of things. Like if you own a piece of land, do you own it all the way to the core of the earth? Like do regular dogs see police dogs and go like, oh no, it's a cop? And am I overthinking this Bongo Flava thing? I don't think I am. I mean, I have been known to go off. I've been known to go way off. But this, I mean, Bongo Flava being just about you, your woman, your car, your bling, your house. Then something right, like that's not right. I'm not overthinking this. So where am I?
So that response, again, is very typical, like it sounds like very typical for me, male response to things like, babe, you're reading too much into it, that sort of thing. Like, oh, like, it was just sex, you know, like that sort of thing. You know, like you think too much, you think too far into this sort of thing. But really, every part of existence, like from a very existential point, a metaphysical point, the belief there is that nature is everywhere. Nature is in the light bulb, nature is in the floor. We are constantly projecting ourselves, or at least our internal worlds, onto the outside, whether it's through our interactions with other people or through our interactions with ourselves, by ourselves. So everything is a symbol that is outside of us. Everything is inherently a symbol. So anyone that says that this video is just a video for funs and laughs is really just lying, because it's showing this internal process within ourselves. And that is exactly what film is. This is exactly what art stands for, is this internal process.
I suppose then the question is, what are our creations revealing about what's going on internally? What do we value? Bongo Flava is uniquely Tanzania. Tanzania has a lot going for it. There's a great wildebeest migration at the Serengeti. There's insanely scenic beaches, but you know what else there is that didn't make it to the brochure? 60% of the population living below the poverty line. 6 out of 10. So then you have to ask yourself, how do these two stories balance? One of obscene wealth and one of destitution. And this is not a story that's unique to Tanzania. So how does that work?
these music videos become the kind of cathedrals of capitalism, in the sense that amidst all the poverty and the absurdities of people's everyday lives and whatever they're doing and their aspirations, the music videos represent a possible world.
They're not in reality. That's the whole point, because you don't want music reminding you of your daily struggles all the time. You want something that kind of blows your mind away and you're like, oh, woo, I'd love to have that.
You're not in reality. That's the whole point.
Part of the whole trick and trap is that the lifestyle must almost always be out of reach. It's almost as if, again, it's this line between fantasy and reality. That role, which only a few people can ever achieve that.
Economics really, I think it's really simple. Everybody is supposed to understand, it's not complicated. I think intellectuals and how economics is taught these days makes it seem as if experts or specialists have to know what's going on in the economy and the normal people don't.
I feel like it's this conspiracy between our key organizations, the media, our political system, our religious organizations, and it all centers on economics. Like, did you ever watch the business news and realize you're not nearly as smart as your mother said you are? They say some shit, use some grass that you can't make heads or tails of, and you can even tell the news anchor doesn't have any idea what the words coming out her mouth mean. As long as we're talking about the man, let's talk about the big three: government, religion, and media. Let's start with the media, our number one source of information on everything from the size of Donald Trump's hands to Somalia, whenever they get around to that.
A lot of people treat media as though it's this art form, that it's this very virtuous, abstract, light thing, but it really is this very strong political tool. And there's a lot of art involved, and there's a lot of this expression involved in media, but the issue is who owns media and who is dictating most of it, and their conditioning is very much coming from this elitist, very specific state of mind. So with that being said, they are creating the media, they're creating the art, they're creating the standards of beauty, they're expressing themselves artistically in that, but also now the use of media is that the media becomes like the standard for the masses and for society.
And now the men of the cloak, the first and not the last, preaching the same gospel, drinking from the same cisterns.
Talk about, for example, how I understand the South African situation, which is no different to the rest of the continent, I imagine, or much of the Western world either, is that in this country, when government changed hands, the current government did not bother very much to actually change the state machinery, right? It simply took over the state machinery, which was designed initially anyway to serve a minority population. But also behind all of that was a lot of access and wealth accumulation and so on and so forth. That was possible because you're serving a small population. But behind that, you've got a huge population that is pretty much the machine that produces the wealth that is shared by a few. Now, government comes into place, and what they do, instead of redesigning the system, they merely take over it and crank it up, and then make a few millionaires, the Motsepes, the whoever's that are being made into millionaires. But the whole thing still centers around consumption and maintaining what the system, the state machinery was meant to do, which is make very few people very rich.
Money. We all need some. We all want some. I mean, raise your hand right now if you could use some. That's all I'm saying. I mean, try giving me some money right now. Try giving me some, see what happens. Try, please. All I'm saying is, it's your money, you work for it, right?
But that's not true. That's part of the whole lie, that hard work will lead to this, or that hustling and whatever else these young people do will lead to something of this life. But the lie is necessary to be kept alive and to be believed by enough people to get caught up in this society of consumers. These models of society of success pretty much function a lot on the basis of consumption, or your ability to be a functioning consumer. So the minute you cannot function as a consumer, in other words, you do not have money to function, you're kind of relegated to the margins. Money becomes the standard for measuring people's human worth. So the more you have money, the more you're worth as a human being.
So for me, the big economic debate really has to go into how we value ourselves, how we value each other. And that is how we pay ourselves, how we reward ourselves.
I agree with you, Kweko. Legit, we need to start thinking big picture. What's the problem here? It's in how we view ourselves and how we view others. But that's a massive problem to try and fix. Now, I much prefer having a big picture view of the problem, but then taking bite-sized chunks out of it to try and fix it. That's how I see it.
I think awareness and more people having discussions and thinking on these lines, because it's having the confidence to have far out thoughts about the world that you find yourself in. Social change, I don't think one person, a revolutionary, can really create social change. And I think that's real social change. I mean, that's just handing off power within the status quo to maybe a revolutionary who has certain ideas that don't seem as normal, but to still keep the status quo in place. And the only way you can have broad mass social movement is if people are on the same frequency, if people are on the same page. Right now, it's going to be difficult because the frequency that most people are on is this ethic. Let's accumulate as much money as we want. The content will change when the people start changing because people make the content. So once people's views start changing, the content will start changing too.
There's 5 of us in my house. So a while back, out of nowhere, they started this thing where he would shower with a bucket and sort of collect the run of water. Unfortunately, this is not an eyewitness account, so we just have to take his word for it. Anyway, he would use that water to flash. And it was 2 or 3 weeks into it before he told us about it. And then we got into it very slowly. Anyway, if he had told us about it before starting and, Kofefu did us about it and been like, do you guys think we should do this or not? There's every possibility that we would not be doing it now. And all I'm saying is, you can't wait for people. There's only 5 of us, and it would not have been possible to wait for us. So I think you should start. Whatever it is you're doing, you should start. And people will look at you and be like, yo, that's good. And maybe, get behind it, get with you. But to wait for people, that's not a thing. And I know that does not address the question of, broad mass movement. But, I don't know, there's only so much you can do.
But in terms of art and social, this country needs a lot of help, a lot of love, a lot of support. And right now, I think we're more divided than ever. I think that both America and South Africa have massive race politics playing out. That we can't be open and honest with each other without being called a racist or being accused of everything under the sun. And it's made for a very bad art space, I think. But it's also created opportunity that we should tackle these things and have conversations and feel more united and tackle difficult topics right now, because I think that we're all sinking into the mud. And I think that music videos are a space that we can do that, where we can tackle these topics in a fun and cool way, be really provocative. Do you remember that? You won't remember, sorry, because you're too young. But many years ago, there was an SABC ad that was banned. And there is a music video idea in this, where they juxtaposed everyone. So it was white people living in the townships. And they just reversed everything. And it made such a big statement, but everyone said it was racist and they got it banned. And it'll be somewhere on YouTube. But that message is so important to shift our thoughts, to shift who we are, what we are. South Africa is such a melting pot, we should be fucking with our culture all day long. It shouldn't be precious. It's become so hard to talk about. And so I do think just that music videos in all art are a place to have that conversation, in a place where political correctness is killing art right now.
So now what? What are the options available to people? It doesn't appear to me like the left offers any kinds of solutions. The only time good appears to win is in Hollywood blockbuster films. Otherwise, in real life, we get our asses handed to us every time.
Yes, the left doesn't have the answers yet, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be prompted to think about these things concretely. I would also say that it's about accumulating small victories. So if, for example, if there's an issue of prioritizing water, a concrete struggle would be to say, well, no, let's make sure that the water provision is run by the state. It's a concrete victory, but you build on that concrete victory to transform society. Otherwise, you get pushed into a situation of political apathy or nihilism, or just romantic utopian thinking, which is also counterproductive too. The idea that socialism is going to arrive tomorrow is strategically self-defeating. So it's about picking up on the bread and butter issues now and building power on that basis. In relation to the question of the middle class, I think it's just about showing solidarity. You might not feel it on a material level, but everyone can see from a moral point of view that a society cannot continue to function like this. Even if you are in a state of privilege, it is in your self-interest to ensure that people around you aren't suffering, because it's suffering that causes all the social problems of, crime and violence and so on. So again, it's in your self-interest to care for your broader community. And unfortunately, that ethic has been lost under neoliberalism. That ethic, and under neoliberalism, it's about individual self-advancement directly. And the idea is that in pursuing that, you're going to lift other people up. I don't buy it, but that's the idea, and that's where we are now. And on a cultural level, that's where we are now. I think it's about forming concrete links with people around concrete issues, forming some type of solidarity with friends and family or your immediate community about an issue that confronts you in your community or in your society, and work towards alleviating that problem and connecting that problem then with the wider social problems. If you're doing research work, if you're doing activist work, if you're making films and so on, each of it is a contribution. And I think that a lot of the time people get overwhelmed by the enormity of the issue and the problem, and I would say the best way to resolve that is to start small and to be okay with small. If we don't change, just read history, and history will give you all the examples that you need. I don't have to scare you. The stakes are high, but they're always high. The stakes are always high.
Different, and I believe it starts with believing a different story about success, a story of success that's about we. It's not about you, not this individualistic narrative that's about you, your house, your woman, your car, your bling. A story that changes to we, a story that puts people above profits. I think that's where it starts. And as for Bongo and me, well, we're always gonna be a we. I mean, we've been through too much together, plus Swahili is hella sexy, so we always have that. But, it's complicated. It's never going to be the same. That's what we have.